No intro, Rick. Just right into it, right? No countdown. Just roll right into the show. We're on a very strict timeline tonight. You got a big softball game this evening, and there was a big tournament last week. No, it wasn't the Wells Fargo, but you and I played in a two-man scramble, and we did our best impression of Will Zalatoris. Hit damn near every fairway, damn near every green in regulation. Could not buy a putt on Saturday.
Yeah. What do we make? 2 putts all day?
Or yeah, 2 birdies all day. 2 birdies and what was it? 16 pars, right?
Yeah.
Terrible, dude.
Yeah,
terrible.
Not good for a scramble. I didn't realize.
No, for a 2-man scramble, that was pretty pitiful, dude. Like, we could not buy a putt. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I never realized how hard last year I played in the same tournament, but my partner wasn't that good. So it was kind of just me out there playing. But I never realized, like, well, even when you're playing with 2 golfers, like, it's hard to make birdies out there in a 2-man scramble.
I know. I mean, you think about it, like, proximity was key. Like, we talked about it on the course, right? Like, we couldn't, like, we were hitting greens, but it's like we had like 20 footers, 30 footers for birdie. And like the likelihood that you and I are going to make a high percentage of those is not very likely.
Yeah. Strokes gained approach was not good for us last week.
Yeah. But I would say our strokes gained approach was good. Our proximity was friggin' terrible. Like, right? Like, that's one of those, because we hit a bunch of greens in regulation.
Yeah. And when you're not within good proximity of the hole, even though we have 2 putts at it, it's not easy to make a 25, 30 footer.
I know. I mean, we burned the edge. Like, one of us was burning the edge on every one of those putts, but it's like, realistically, you could putt that thing 15 times. You're probably not going to make one.
Yep. You know who was hot with his putter this week? Wyndam Clark.
Dude, he has been, we were talking about it on the course, and congratulations to you. 75-1 winner. I think that's the biggest one for the show this year. That marks, like, we've hit 4 winners between you and I in the last 7 weeks. So we're starting to catch our groove here after, like, I don't know how many second places. I memean, it was like, it's a joke. But congratulations, man. That's a nice hit.
Yeah. It was a good week betting wise. Hit 75-1 on Wyndham. Man, I came so close to big money on Draftkings. I had him in my main lineup. I had a 6 of 6 with Wyndam Clark in my main lineup, and just Sunday kind of. I was up there. I was in like 10th or 11th place in the 555. First place was 100K, and Sunday just other than Wyndham, the rest of my guys just shit the bed. Hovland shot like +6 on Sunday. Keith Mitchell was not good on Sunday. I needed my guys to go low on Sunday to have a shot, but overall good week. I had a positive week in Draftkings, positive week in betting, obviously, and yeah, it was a good tournament. Wyndam Clark, man, he's been knocking on the door all year. I think his strokes gained total has been basically like top 5 all season, and he just continued to be priced with guys that I feel like he should be priced with, to be honest with you, in the 7K range, in the low 8K range, and in the 70-1 range, 80-1 range, and in a tournament where we didn't have Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm, I think it was a pretty easy click for me because I thought he was maybe a little mispriced in both the betting market and on DraftKings. Yeah,
like you, I fell trapped to the Gary Woodland, 80-90-1 number. Like, that seemed ridiculous to me at a course where he should pop. And, through 2 days, much like Mexico, it looked like he was going to contend. And then he just did what Gary Woodland does. He just goes away on the weekend. He doubles, and then he just kind of meanders around, doesn't make any putts, and he kind of slowly falls down the leaderboard. And that's what he did again. And here's Wyndam Clark, to your point, a guy that had been playing phenomenal. I mean, if you look at the entire PGA Tour lineup of players over the last 36 rounds, Wyndam Clark rates out number 4 in total strokes tee to green. I mean, he's been phenomenal. And it was one of those guys, in retrospect, looking back on the week, it's like, of course he was going to win. He had been circling, to your point here, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, really close. Everybody loved him at Mexico, and he had a bad weekend, and everybody jumped off of him. And then we moved to another event where we knew distance was going to be a key to victory. Obviously, Windy C is very long off the tee, very good tee to green, and he just need to catch a hot putter like we talk about all the time. And he had that week that you hope a guy has when you're betting a guy, 50, 60, 70-1 when all of the other metrics line up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about last week. I haven't been on the show in a few weeks, but you talked about it last week. Bombers at Wells Fargo are good players, and we know that Wyndam Clark's a good bomber. And I honestly didn't think he was going to get the job done on Sunday, especially when Xander tied him up in, what was it, like 5 or 6 holes? They were tied, and then he fell behind by a stroke. And there's a stretch there when Xander kind of just shit the bed on like between like hole 7 to 12, where I think he made a couple bogeys and Wyndham made a couple birdies, and then it kind of coasted to victory. But yeah, overall, good tournament. I enjoyed it. I'll ask the question to you that I've been hearing a lot on podcasts. Do you think these, because we've had so many of them, do you think these elevated events are losing their luster a little bit already?
I would say this. I think like anything, when something's new, there's a heightened sense of like, ooh, this is interesting. This is cool. We're going to see the best guys. And just like anything, I mean, after a while, it just loses its luster. It's not that they're not good events or that it hasn't lived up to anything. It's just literally that this is now, the fourth, fifth, sixth one. So it's like, okay, cool. And now we're in this weird place where guys are choosing to sit out these things for whatever reasons, right? Like they're not healthy, it's just they need some time off, whatever. And especially these top end guys who don't need the money, right? Like John Rahm doesn't need to play every one of these. Like he's made enough money in the last 3 years. Like he's set for his life if he ever wants to play again. And what we are seeing, which I do think is good, we see guys like Kitayama and Wyndam Clark kind of rise and win these events. I think that's generally good for golf. People will argue and say like, oh, no one's watching when Wyndam Clark or, Kurt Kitayama win one of these big events because they're not names. Nobody cares on TV. But the reality is like the PGA Tour has a responsibility to continue to create the next guys, right? Like that next layer of guys to rise. And I think these events allow guys to showcase and have an opportunity. So to answer your original question, which I did not do, I would say yes, they have lost some of their luster, but I don't think it's because the events are not living up to expectations. I just think we've had a couple of them now, and it's kind of like passé. It's old news, right?
Yeah, I agree. I kind of wish they weren't in the same time frame as these majors. Like we had this elevated event, great, that was fun. It was a good event, but we have the PGA Championship in 2 weeks. It would have been nice to have no elevated events between the Masters and the PGA Championship. Like, if you want to jam these elevated events into like the beginning of the year, like before the Masters, I'm all for that. But after the Masters, since we have a major pretty much every month, we have one in April, May, June, and July. We have a major every month. Maybe just one or two of these elevated events like during that time period. Definitely not like the week after a major like it was for Heritage, and it's going to be later on this year for Travelers. But maybe just one or two to just keep our whistle wet a little bit. But I don't know if we need an elevated event every other week, especially when we're in major season. It just kind of loses luster for me. I care more about the majors. I think the majority of golf fans care more about the majors. So, yeah, I mean, it's not, it's above my pay grade to decide these things, but it's just, little opinion of mine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying. I like it because, traditionally there are stretches pre-COVID. COVID kind of threw everything for a loop, but pre-COVID, there would be stretches where we wouldn't see these guys play for like months. And I think what the elevated events do, especially the way the PGA Tour is structured, is they're like, hey, you can miss one, but that's it. Like if you miss more than one, we're gonna start taking money out of your paycheck. And there's some guys like Rory and Rahm that can just go, double middle fingers and say, I don't care. You can take as much as you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to play where I want to play. And that's fine. But I do think that it does make these events better. Like we're going to get a Travelers event, which is after the PGA Championship, that is an elevated event. We're going to get a stacked field at a good course, which is in an event that is traditionally like dog shit. Like it's usually a terrible event with a horrible field, and we're going to get a very, very good field. So I think it's doing what it's supposed to do. Whether or not that's translating in odds and interest and likes and all the other things that the PGA Tour is tracking, I have no idea. But I, for one, am in favor of them. And I think, to your point, there's probably some rescheduling, some restructuring to make them more interesting. To your point, like they've kind of stopped talking about them as elevated events. They're just like, hey, it's the Wells Fargo, right? It's like where before, early in the year, they were like Waste Management, but it's an elevated event and there's $3 million or $4 million. And it's like, you're not really getting that anymore. So, So some of the messaging, but yeah, I think some restructuring. And this is the first year they've done it, so it's easy to kind of throw stones and Monday morning quarterback and be like, "Hey, this was bad. They should do this different." And I think all of those things will kind of get ferreted out when they look at the ratings and see where these tournaments like break down, and they'll make adjustments to the tour slate, and that will make the product better next year.
I agree. Yeah, just got to do a little bit of tinkering and tottering, but yeah, I mean, I still like it. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's an elevated event or the Byron Nelson this week.
Yeah,
We still got golf, and we still got high prizes for us, the consumers on DraftKings. So, yeah, man, I that's all I really got to say. The only other topic of conversation that I've been hearing around the circles and are people complaining, well, not people, but Phil Mickelson particularly complaining about how Taylor Gooch is.
Phil can't keep his mouth shut. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's complaining that Taylor Gooch isn't in the U.S. Open or isn't qualified for the U.S. Open or has to qualify for the U.S. Open or something like that. And obviously Taylor Gooch has won the last 2 live events. So, yeah, man, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, if Taylor Gooch is not in the U.S. Open, I'm not going to miss him. If he's in the U.S. Open, great. He deserves to be there. But, yeah, I think they need to figure out some sort of rules or some sort of exemptions or some sort of different type of qualifying for these live guys to be able to qualify for the majors next year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. To me, it's kind of it's a price of doing business, right? Like when these guys who are non-exempt, the Niemans, the Gooches, like, all of the guys that decided to make the move, the Coke Racks, like Mitos, like they knew they'd lack the exemptions in a bunch of the majors. And so when they made the move, they did it for the cash grab, knowing the PGA wasn't going to let them participate in a bunch of these events. Now, here we are, and we're at the PGA and the US Open. And to your point, like these guys, obviously Gooch being the primary example, a guy who has won now twice in a row, and it gets him no opportunity to be in. Yes, he deserves to be in, but at the same point in time, it's like, dude, you knew that when you took the money. When you signed up to play the live, you knew that was the one thing they were going to hold over your head at the PGA, yep. And you were going to give that up, but you were going to get that payday. So here we are. I got the payday, and it's like, sorry, brother, you're out. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I guess there's a pro and a con to all of that, right? He got paid, and now he can't play in the majors or whatever. But yeah, I guess those are the only like 2 main topics of conversation I've been hearing around the golf circles. And I guess we'll see what happens with both of those things. But yeah, we got a tournament this week, man. Byron Nelson at the Bunny Ranch
at TPC Bunny Ranch, aka KH Lee's home course. The 2-time winner is back again this year. To your point, I'm usually out at this event. Like the company that I work for in my day job, we do a massive hospitality event where we are in one of the luxury suites on the 17th hole, which is a par 3 for all 5 days, the 4 days of the tournament and the practice event. We invite clients out. We do a bunch of stuff. So typically I'd be on my way to Dallas here on Tuesday. I am not this year for the first time in like 3 or 4 years. Not bitter at all, but we got a bunch of guys we know that'll be out there having a good time. But it's one of the easiest courses in terms of scoring to par there is on the tour schedule. Yep. It's got like a ridiculous birdie rate above like 25-30%. It's not difficult. It's flat. I've walked this course, and there's just not a lot of trouble if you're hitting the ball in the fairway and hitting greens. It's just the rough isn't long. It's usually dried out, baked out hard. So it's like balls carry. And the only thing that has any teeth at all really are the par 3s. Like there's, I think, 3 par 3s that measure close to 220 yards. And that's really the only place where the course can present some challenges. Other than that, man, if you're hitting greens in regulation, like it's like get a hot putter and win. And even that aspect, like if you look at KH Lee's splits the last 2 years, he was just really good across the board. Like there was nothing that he absolutely excelled at. There was nothing that killed him. He just gained everywhere and won this tournament twice. And, to your point about this place, like they call it the Bunny Ranch because it's kind of a hit and giggle and anybody can win.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have a big enough sample size to know how sticky course history is here. I mean, we've had 2 years and obviously the same winner twice 2 years. Does that mean he's going to win again? I hope so. He's my one and done pick this week, but I don't know, man. It's a tough, it's just a birdie fest. It's a typical birdie fest that we have That's a hit and giggle, like you said, at these resort courses that we typically see. Like the American Express that we typically see, like these birdie fest that we see throughout the year that we don't get a lot of big names in. We already have Jordan Spieth withdrawing from this tournament. The only big name we have here is Scheffler. I mean, quote unquote, really big name stud that we have here is Scheffler playing this week. And the only reason he's playing it is because it's in Texas, and it's like a hop, jump, and a skip from his house in Texas. So, yeah, man, I mean, it's fine. It's a good event. It's gonna be a lot of birdies. You're gonna have to get 6 of 6 through to cash this week. 5 of 6 is not gonna get the job done just because there's gonna be so many points scored that 5 of 6 you're just gonna get outrun by guys that are 6 of 6. And I had that conundrum last year. I had a really good 5 of 6. I remember last year, and I just didn't cash. I had KH Lee in my lineup last year. I remember, and 4 other guys that did well, and then one guy missed a cut. And just because of that one missed cut, it's not good enough to because that 6 guy is going to get you so many points. You're just going to get outscored by the 6 of 6. So yeah, cut's going to be low, probably be like -4, -5, -6 this week. And yeah, got to get those golfers to the cut this week. So let's get into it, man.
Absolutely. TPC Craig Ranch, just north.
Look at that. Look at that picture.
Dude, honestly, like when I made it, I was like, this might be the most racist thumb that I've ever made. And I don't know why, because there's nothing racist about it. It's just he looks so awkward in a cowboy hat. Like, I don't know. It just looks like somebody superimposed a cowboy hat on him. But it is a real photo, like from last year. They put a cowboy hat on him. So
yeah. He's the champion in Texas, man. He
2-time winner. I mean, the guy, 25, 26 under. The kid has just owned this course. And it's funny. I have a really good buddy. His name is MJ. He's a golf pro, and he has a bunch of connections on the KPGA and back in Korea. And KH Lee is like the running joke. They were like, he wasn't very good on the Korean tour. They're like, he was okay. Like, he won an event, he got an opportunity, and he's done really, really well since getting that opportunity on the PGA Tour. But like coming up, like KH Lee was just like average tour guy on the Korean Pro Golf Tour, and he's elevated now, 2-time winner on the PGA Tour. And who can fault him, man? He likes his place. Obviously, he likes to go low, so we'll see if he can do it again. A little bit different look at the top of the board this week. We're still going above 9K, but I didn't have an opportunity to go through my usual breakdown, but I did dump my statistical model. Doesn't incorporate the course history or the form coming in. Like you said, we've only got two years of history at this course, so it's difficult to tell. But I identified what I thought were the key stats where I wanted to place the highest priority. And so this is my model, good, bad, and different, my statistical model. And you can see Scotty Scheffler over the last 36 rounds rates out number 1. And in pretty much every one of those statistical measurements, he's number 1, number 2, or number 3. Like, the only place he's not is in, 200 plus shots. And it's probably because he doesn't have very many of those.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? The guy's been just fantastic. Even when he plays bad, he's up there. And he just hits the ball to 10 feet every hole, man. He finds the fairway. And when he doesn't find the fairway, he is a magical scrambler. He just manages to get out of deep trouble and somehow make par. He chips in or does whatever he needs to do. But when he's in the fairway, he hits the ball to 10 feet or less every single time. And he's just fantastic. He's going to make a lot of birdies this week. He's probably going to win this week. I think after I saw Spieth withdraw, I think his odds are down to plus 350 now, 3 to 1, something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's not going to get my money. That's probably not even going to get my Draftkings play this week. I assume that with Spieth's withdrawal, that most of the ownership that Spieth would have consumed is probably just going to go up to Scotty now. I can't imagine people are going to be like, oh, let me choose between Scotty Scheffler and Tyrrell Hatton and pick Tyrrell Hatton.
It's not even close.
Yeah, so it's not even close there. Even though Hatton's been playing great. I mean, he had a great finish this week, and he's been playing fantastic. I just can't see much of that happening. I can see Scotty getting up to 30-35% like Rahm kind of territory, 40% maybe ownership this week. So it's going to be a tough ask for me to click in GPPs. Definitely going to start my cash game lineup with Scotty, but GPPs is going to be tough for me to click. I'd rather take my chances with Hatton or just fade Hatton also and start my lineups in the 9K. There's a lot of good names there in the 9K with with my man KH Lee at 9,300, and I like him this week. He played well last week. He was in contention. He played, he was in contention for the first couple days last week. So good form coming in. He loves this course. I like that play 9,300. I know he's going to be chalk, but I'll eat it with him. Other than that, I don't really know who I like in this 9K range. Adam Scott's playing good. He played good last week. Kuchar likes this course here. Also, he has a 12th and a 17th the last 2 years. Tom Kim had a 17th last year. He's been playing all right. Seems like a good course for Tom Kim to, since it's not that long, it's a good course for him to, get on the greens and make some putts. So if I was to rank my favorite plays here, in the 9K range, I'm going to say KH Lee 1, probably Kuchar 2, just because of the course history. He's been playing pretty good recently also. And then after that, probably Tom Kim. And then from the top, in cash games, play Scotty. GPP is probably not a good idea to play him because he's going to be, superly high owned, and maybe fade him. I'm fine with playing Hatton, but if you want to get different, you just start in the 9Ks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love Tom Kim, who you mentioned. He's probably going to be a staple for me this week. He might even be, in not our one and done, but the other one, the larger one. He may be my selection this week. The other guy that I like, just from a boom bust perspective, and the fact that we do have at least 1 year, 2 years of course history for him, and he's made the cut both years and made a good run last year here, is Hideki. Like, I know he's coming off injury, but when you think of long-term pedigree, him and Adam Scott probably stand out in this range compared. Jason Day was number one in the world for a year, but Hideki, he was playing much better, played well in the Masters, he T15 there, and then decided, hey, my neck hurts, I need to take some time off. The fact that he's here, the fact that last year he finished third and it was right before the PGA, I like Hideki because I think there's going to be a lot of question marks about whether or not he's healthy. And to me, the fact that he's showing up and playing before the PGA, that means he's healthy. So I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to play a lot of Hideki this week, and I'm going to end up mixing him with Tom Kim, Jason Day, and Adam Scott. Like, I'm going to mix those two guys with Hideki, and I'm probably going to be 100% Hideki this week.
Okay. That's not bad. I mean, Hideki definitely has a course history here. He's definitely going to be probably the lowest owned out of all these guys. To be honest, I think he's probably going to be the lowest owned. So nice little pivot. I just don't know, man. I can't play him just because of this injury situation. I know he was in Japan getting treatment for the last few weeks, and he had to, withdraw from the Masters or wherever, he couldn't play. So I don't know, man. It's scary. I think I know you say he's playing the week before because he's healthy. I think he might be playing the week before to see if his body can go through 4 rounds in preparation for the PGA Championship next week. I just don't know. It's a really, really tough click for me. I'd much rather play Tyrrell Hatton. I'd much rather play Tom Kim right below him, or Day, or Adam Scott. Like,
I think we lost Rick's connection.
Am I back?
Oh, you're back now, at least audio wise. Oh, there we go. You completely froze.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
No, you're right.
What I was saying was I don't know many people that are going to be. I think most people are going to be thinking like me and not clicking Hideki.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want that leverage, if you start your lineup with Hideki Matsuyama this week, you're going to be different automatically. Yep. You can probably do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup. So that's my two cents on that. I get the play, but I like Tom Kim this week. I like Jason Day. I like KH Lee. I like all the other guys in the 9K range. For sure.
I mean, I'm just looking at Hideki outside of the waste management, which he ended up finishing top 30. He's gained 7 events in a row on approach, which I think is important this week. The thing that blows me away is he's gained putting in 5 of the last 6 weeks leading up to this. Yes, there's the injury piece, but like I said, I'm willing to take the risk this week, and I understand the inherent risk that he could get out there, hit 2 shots, and be like, my neck hurts, I want to rest for the PGA, and then you're done. But if he plays and he ends up finishing inside of the top 10, to your point, like, he's going to return a lot of value, because I think a lot of people are really worried about the withdraw. So I like all the names that you mentioned. The other guy that I at least wanted to ask you about is Matt Kuchar. The price point is, I don't know, $2,500 above where we've been seeing him. I'm just curious, do you think Kuchar, who has very good course history, he's in very good form, do you think people are going to click him at 9K, or they're going to be like, I'm not playing Matt Kuchar at $9,000?
I think they're going to click his name. I think they're going to see the last 2 years, 2 top 20 finishes, and they're going to want to click his name. I know it's scary to click at 9K, but I think he's definitely going to be more popular than Siwoo. I think he's going to be pretty similar ownership to like Adam Scott and Jason Day this week. So I think the chalk is going to be Tom Kim and KH Lee in this range, but Day, Scott, and Kuchar I'm seeing coming in pretty much at the same projected ownership, and Siwoo Kim seems to be the big time pivot. Him and Hideki in this range.
Well, if you want to talk pivots, just play a bunch of dudes in the AKs because nobody's playing any of these guys. Nobody's talking about them. We haven't seen a few of these guys in a while. There's a couple of guys, Steven Yager being the primary one, where it's like he's $8,200. He's been playing very well. There's a reason why he's fifth in my model, right? Because he, much like Windy C last week, has kind of been circling around these leaderboards for the last 4 or 5 weeks. The metrics are there. We just haven't seen him close where he's had that round on Saturday and Sunday to put him in position to win. But of all of the guys, I think, that are in the tournament this week, he's the guy, at least in my mind, that most feels like Wyndam Clark last week, right? Where it's like he's been there the last couple of weeks. You're just waiting for him to break through. And at a course where it's basically a glorified Corn Ferry Tour event, like, why not Steven Yager?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's the best play in this range, and I think most people are going to think he's the best play in this range, and he's going to come in kind of chalky. I like a pivot to JJ Spawn at 8K. He's been playing good golf, man. I know his course history, he's made the cut the last 2 years here, and nothing better than the 38th. But guy's been playing pretty good golf the last like couple months on tour, and I think this is a good. Whenever we, I feel like JJ Spawn has become a better golfer over the last couple of years, but before that, he was that birdie fest, like first round leader. Like he's going to go out and shoot like -10 and not be able to like hold up after like the first round. But he's gotten better, and I think he can. We saw him win last year, his first win on tour, and I think this is a course that he can win at. He can make a lot of birdies, and he's been hitting the ball good. So I definitely like JJ Spawn here as a pivot from Steven Yager. I like Steven Yager, like you said, he's fifth in your model. Good play, good price point, I think. In a birdie fest, you're going to want to play him. The guy shot 59 on the Corn Ferry Tour before. So I definitely like that call. I like Seamus Power at 8,900 last 2 years here. 17th and a 9th. Pretty good. He doesn't have the greatest form coming in, but he did play well last week. He had 18th last week. So pretty good last week. So you can maybe, lead it into some good play this week. I think those are my 3 guys in this range: Jaeger, Power, and Spawn. I have a soft spot for Benny An. He did hurt me last week with a missed cut. He was in one of my main lineups, and he didn't make the cut last week. But before that, he's been playing pretty good golf, and he's been gaining. Like he's second in your model in par fours, 450 to 500. So these long par fours are good for him. He's been gaining 1 to 2 strokes around a tournament with his putter, which is unusual for him. So
yep,
definitely like Benny on as a kind of like a pivot play also. Other than that, I don't have much, man. I know people are going to go to Tom Hoagie. He's a stat stuffer. People are going to go to Minwoo Lee. They like that. They like him also, but they seem kind of fadish for me. And I will say one thing here. We were wrong on Taylor Montgomery, man. 8,700. He sucks.
He does suck.
He's not good. I mean, I don't know what was going on before during the swing season when we were playing him every week, but he ain't good. He should not be priced 8,700 in this field. That's a misprice in my opinion. He should be in the 7K range in this field. I'm not playing him. I'm not going to click his name. So yeah, you got to sell me hard for me to click on that name.
Yeah, it's funny. Montgomery, from basically, to your point, from the Fortinet all the way through the Farmers, he had a string where he made like 10 cuts in a row, and he had a bunch of top 10, top 15, and even a couple top 5 finishes in that run. And then it was like, as soon as we got to the Waste Management, like he was terrible. He missed at the Genesis. Then he makes 3 in a row at the Arnold Palmer, the Players, and Valero, right? So he a bunch of elevated events. So we come back, RBC Heritage, which is a course where you think would fit his skill set, misses the cut, and then he plays absolutely god awful last week at Wells Fargo when a lot of people thought, hey, this could be a good setup for him. And I don't know. It's that consistency that he had through that stretch from the Fortinet all the way through the Farmers it's evaporated. And I just don't know which version of him we're going to getting. Yes, the putting has been there. That is the one skill set I think that we know that regardless of how bad he's playing, he's just going to putt really, really well. He's continued to do that even through this bad stretch. But what's changed is he was such a beast off the tee during that run. And that's kind of been gone. It's been absent. He's not gaining on the field off the tee. He's not doing anything. His approach has typically not been very good, and it's been god awful through this run. And it's just really weird. I don't know what's happening, if he's going through swing changes or maybe he's just tired. I have no clue. But to your point, like I can't get there. I think he's probably the most mispriced guy on the board this week at 8,700. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, maybe he's just good on the West Coast. I don't know, but yeah, he hasn't been great. I'm not playing him. So who else do you like in this? Oh, thanks for the comment, AFC East Summit. Yes, I did hit 75 to win on Wyndam Clark last week. So I put my betting card out on Wednesdays on the Discord. So if you are on our Discord channel, me and Tony both put our final betting cards out on Wednesday. So check them out, and if you want to follow our plays, we're in the mix every week. I can say that for certainty. We always have
Absolutely.
We hit a lot of second places earlier in the year, but we're actually coming through and hitting some winners the last month or so. So follow our plays, and hopefully we can win you some cash. But yeah, who else do you like in this range?
I mean, you named them. All the guys that you threw out there. I can't go to Mav, can't go to Montgomery, can't do Aaron Wise. I got to see it. Hadwin, I had talked about Hadwin last week, but Hadwin's been bad. I'm not a Seabez guy. I never have been. He has been playing better. When I looked at Seabez's splits, like his metrics look much better. He's made a bunch of cuts in a row. And if you look how he's doing it, it's kind of like how you would expect him to do it, right? Tee to green, he's pretty solid. He puts the ball pretty well. Where he's terrible is around the greens. The off the tee game can go sideways, but approach is good and putting's good. And, at a course like this where you're not going to be penalized if you're hitting the ball out of bounds off the tee, he might be okay. Like he could be live this week, but he's got, 3 finishes, the Heritage, the Valero, and the Players, 19th, the 28th, and the 13th. So he's coming in with some pretty good form. And this is the kind of field where a guy like him could show up and finally get it done. What was it? The Players, I think it was, where he was making a run and then he just kind of evaporated over the course of the weekend. Yeah. Again, I don't hate it, but I'm not a Seabez guy, and I'm not going to claim to be, so I won't be going back to this week. So what the guys you threw out, Yager, Power, are probably my 2 favorite. And then I do like Spawn as well. I think this is a good spot for him.
Yeah. Seabez, he had what did he have? He finished 12th here last year. 15th, 12th place finish here last year. I don't know, man. I just, for some reason, whenever it's a birdie fest, I just can't click his name. I like him more at a little tougher of a track where the winning score is going to be like 14, 15, 16 under instead of like 25 under. I just don't think he can ever really get to that number. I'd much rather go to someone that I know can make a lot of birdies, like Spawn and Jaeger and Power. And these are the guys that I know can make get you streaks on DraftKings, 3 birdies in a row, get you 4 rounds in the 60 bonus, like stuff like that. I just don't ever really get that feeling from Seabez. And like you were talking about Taylor Montgomery being bad off the tee. This guy's awful off the tee, man.
Seabez is bad off the tee.
He's so short off the tee. His iron play is okay. He's a great putter. You just have to bank on a week where he gets gains 7-8 strokes putting, and that's not going to be every week. So not a play for me. I'd much rather play Spawn at the same price range.
I mean, to the point though, like if you want to get different, if you want to go play Scotty, pair him with one of these guys, because this is where you're going to be able to get leverage. If you don't play Yager and don't play Power, you play anybody else in this range, yep, you're going to get ownership leverage. So if that's the way you want to approach it, because when we get down to the 6Ks, like it gets ugly really fast. Like, you could save yourself some money, play Scheffler, play one of these guys, and play some guys in the low 7s and, call it a day. So it's just whether or not you want to do that. I like Hoagie as well too, but dude, you want to talk about hit and miss like Montgomery? Hoagie's in the same conversation. Like one week is great, the next week he's terrible.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. Cool.
So a little bit tough to read, but the 7K range, we've still got some good names down here. We've still got guys that can put up good numbers. And you can see I've got some guys ranked here in the top area of my model. But who do you like in the 7Ks, Rick? Like there's a guy that I like, even though he hasn't been playing great, but I watched him. I followed him one of the days last week out here. The course fits his game, and I think he's live. He's made 3 cuts in a row. And to me, for his price point, he's one of your guys too. Like when he's totally on brand for you. But the guy I'm talking about is Scott Stallings. Like no one's talking about Stallings. I like Stallings a lot at 7,700.
Hell yeah, I love Scott Stallings. I love him every week. 25th and the 3rd the last 2 years here. Like you said, he's made 4 straight cuts on tour. So yeah, man, 7,700. I like the play. Let me see who's going to be chalk in the upper 7K. Looking like right now the chalk's going to be Bramlett. I get that. He's been playing really well the last month or so on tour. People are going to go to Sam Stevens and Michael Kim. Also, Michael Kim, man, this guy was playing phenomenal. He played so good last week. What did he end up finishing last week? 3rd or 4th, something like that?
Yeah, I think he finished. He fell out at the end. I think he finished top 10, like 7 or 8.
7th, yeah. He's been playing good golf. 5 straight cuts on tour, man. The guy's hitting the ball really well right now. So I actually like Michael Kim this week at 7,500. I like this. I like the Scott Stallings, Carl. I like Brandon Wu here. He's coming off of a 3rd place finish in Mexico. I like him at birdie fests like this. He made the cut here last year, nothing great, but I don't mind it. I will be fading Davis Riley, even though he's coming off of a Zurich Classic team event win. The dude he's so bad, man. Like I don't get it. Like some events he just torpedoes himself and he just shoots like +8 the first day and he's out of it. So I just don't like that. Bramlett's going to be chalk. I don't know if I can click the Bramlett name, especially with him being chalk and that price point at 7,900, a little too high for me. So I think I'll be off of him. And Ben Griffin, man, I know he missed the cut last week. I know that I called it. I wrote it on the Discord last week. I don't like him when it's a long, tough track. Like I just don't like him at like long courses. I like him at like shorter birdie fests, like where you're going to make a lot of birdies. Like he's going to be in the hunt at those kind of events. So I think this course could suit him pretty well. He's never played here before. So I think I'm going to go back to my boy Ben Griffin at 7,500. I like that play. So I think 7,500 and above, my favorite plays are going to be Stallings, Brandon Wu, Michael Kim, and Ben Griffin. I think those are my players above 7,500. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I like all of those names. The only guy that I'll throw in there, I'm going to go back, even though he's below 7,500. I'm going to go back to Eric Cole. Like I watched what he did at Mexico. I like him at Birdie Fest. He hits a lot of fairways, hits a lot of greens. You just got to hope that putter can heat up. So I like Eric Cole at 7,400. The Michael Kim call is great. I just had this terrible feeling he's going to be ridiculously chalky. Same thing with Sam Stevens, even though I get it with both guys. It makes a lot of sense. Stallings is really the guy above 7,500 that I really like, and I think a lot of people are going to forget about him. The other guy that I played all the way through last week, including in Showdown, who actually had a pretty good week outside of, I think, maybe a bad Friday, was Matthew NeSmith. Like NeSmith struck the ball really, really well. He didn't putt for he was trash on the greens. So, you just got to hope that we can get the version of him that we saw tee to green. I mean, the guy gained almost 9 strokes tee to green at the Wells Fargo last week. He finished top 35. He lost 5 strokes putting. So it's like, don't lose 5 strokes putting, Matthew NeSmith's Luke List, and you guys will have a chance. But just from in this field, because we're talking about a much softer field, like I like NeSmith as well too. Yep.
I like that call. So let's talk about some of these guys that are coming in with pretty good form. First one I'm going to name is 7,400 Dylan Wu. This guy has been Chris
has been all over him.
All over him. His last, he's made 5 straight cuts. His last 2 weeks have been 21st and the 15th. He did have a bad miscut here last year, but whatever. First time seeing the course, I can forgive that. So I like Dylan Wu at 7,400. I think I did pass on him last week because, like I was saying in Discord, I don't really know how I feel about him in long courses, but at a course like this where it's going to be a birdie fest, I don't mind that. Obviously, him being coming up from the Korn Ferry Tour, he's used to playing in birdie fest. So like that call, and I like the play with Dylan Wu. Mark Hubbard has been playing better golf recently. His last he's made 3 cuts in a row. He had a 32nd year last year, 34th the year before, so pretty good course history. And the last guy I like down here that's also been playing pretty good golf coming in, 3 straight made cuts, 17th place year, finished year last year, 7,200 Nate Lashley. I like that play.
I played Lashley a lot last week. Weekend did not go well for him, but I think it's a great call.
Yeah.
Can I sell you on a guy?
Who is it?
Okay, so I'm gonna read the stats, right? I'm gonna read the stat line.
All right.
And then I want you to tell me if you feel like it's a good play. So this guy has made 4 cuts in a row. He's made 5 out of his last 6. Wells Fargo, he finished 14th. Mexico Open, he finished 15th. Heritage, 25th.
You say Jimmy Walker?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Statistically, he is a beast right now. Like he is on, like no one's gained more strokes coming into this event than Jimmy Walker has over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like he is statistically, strokes gained wise, the best player in the field.
All right. You know what? I've been hard on the guy before. I don't like his political views. I always talk shit to him on Instagram. I never play him. I just don't like the guy. But you know what? I will play Jimmy Walker this week.
Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, you're right. He's been playing well. I don't know what's gotten over him, if he's gotten healthier or what his situation is, but you can't deny the fact that he's been playing better golf recently, and he's popping up on leaderboards. His last 4 finishes are 14th, the 15th, the 25th, and 22nd. That's pretty much all you need out of a $7,100 golfer. So if he can get up there in a birdie fest, I'm all for it. So all right, I'll play him this week. I'm in.
I like it. The other name that I'll throw out statistically, who's played well, made a bunch of cuts, nothing flashy, very familiar to Jimmy Walker, $7,300. Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard's just been making cuts and getting T27s, T18s, top 10s, top 30s. Like he's just been kind of living there. His last missed cut was at Valero, but he's made 4 out of the last 5. He's got T11, T18, T27 the last 3 times out. I mean, he's playing some pretty good golf right now.
Yeah, I talked about him earlier. I like that play. I'm in on Hubbard this week.
Yeah.
What about Texas man Ryan Palmer?
Man, I feel similar to Palmer the way I do about Jimmy Walker. It's just hard to click his name. It really is. Like I get it. Like he's playing good. Like right now, you look at his splits. He traditionally is a better putter on bent. We're back in Texas. He's from Texas. Like that makes all the sense in the world to me. I just don't know if I can click the name.
Yeah, 5th place finish here last year, 47th the year before. Yeah, it's a tough click. I get it, but I wouldn't mind going there. I don't think he's going to be too chalky, so I don't mind. I don't mind going to Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to get different and you're looking for made cut equity, I think there's worse names to click because there's guys down here that are going to be popular because of younger guys, and people aren't going to click Ryan Palmer's name because he's quote unquote an old guy. The reality is he's still playing well, and this is a Texas course. Ryan Palmer, you play him in Texas. There's guys him, Patton Kazire, Charlie Hoffman. Like it's just these guys when they're in Texas, you play them. Yep. So yeah, I get it. I mean, his form isn't the greatest, but his off the tee game's been very good. Like tee to green, he's been solid. It's just around the green, he's terrible. On the greens, he's been pretty bad. So you just got to hope he gets a week where he putts, field min and makes the cut, and maybe makes a run on the weekend.
I'm really sad that Bo Hostler withdrew from this tournament.
What's funny, dude? I'm not a Bo Hostler guy, but I had the same thing. I really liked him this week as well.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good golf recently. Obviously, he played well with Wyndam Clark at the Zurich, and then after that, he's been playing good. But I don't know why he withdrew, but I definitely would have. I definitely would have been all in on Bo Hostler this week, being a Texas guy. Pretty good history here. I would have definitely clicked his name this week, but I don't know where he would have been priced or if he even got to the pricing board. But yeah, I'm kind of sad he withdrew. I was going to.
I would bet that he would be low 8s, high 7s, like anywhere between like 78 and 82. Like that's where he would have been.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's go to the dumpster.
All right, we're down here in the dumpster below 7K. Again, difficult to read, but just go to Fantasy Now so you can pull all this stuff up. Who do you like in the 7Ks? I know there's not a ton, but there are some interesting guys down here below $7,000.
I don't know. Honestly, this is it's tough range for me. The only guy down here that has decent course history would be a couple of guys that have decent course history. Bryce Garnett, the last couple of years has made the cut. Vince Whaley at 6,500 has a 25th and 26th the last 2 years, but he's been god awful on tour recently. No one else really has good course history here down here. No one in particular is playing really that well recently. Cody Gribble has four straight made cuts, but nothing great. I don't know, man. You're gonna really have to sell me on someone. I think that the names here that are a little bit, they're better than what their price is, but they're only priced down here because of what they've been doing. Is like someone like a CT Pan at 6,600 who is coming off of an injury, but he shouldn't be he's not a $6,600 golfer, I don't think so. I think CT Pan's someone you can get a look at. Carson Young is a name I could get to. Made 4 out of the last 5 cuts in their first time at this event, but he's been playing pretty good golf recently, including 2 top 20 finishes, so I don't mind that. Augusto Nunez, I played him a couple weeks ago in Mexico. He made the cut but didn't do much, but he's made 4 out of the last 5 made cuts on tour. Hasn't played here before, so no really course history from that for him. 6,700. Other than that, no one really. You got anybody?
I'll throw a couple names at you. Kevin Chappell. We're sticking with the old guy theme, right? So Kevin Chappell, he's made 3 cuts in a row. He's priced at 6,600. He's a former PGA Tour winner. Yeah. And you look at his splits, the approach has been great. He's made 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts, 5 cuts in a row now with a bunch of top 20 finishes, top 25 finishes. He's been gaining, like I said, consistently on approach. Off the tee has been hit and miss, but that's going to be mitigated a little bit this week. Tee to green game has been very, very solid. And the putting's been okay. He had a good week in Mexico. He, gained 3 on the putting greens. So Kevin Chappell, $6,600 at a place where there's not a ton of trouble. Maybe I could see that.
Yeah.
The other name that I would throw at you just statistically at looking at guys, Carson Young kind of stands out. I know he's missed 2, I think, out of his last 4 cuts, but he was a guy that was popping up on leaderboards. And if you look at his splits, man, it's just the kid we just need to see a decent putting week and he'll break through.
Yeah, he's actually made 4 out of his last 5 cuts, so he's playing pretty good.
Oh, there you go. I'm looking at the wrong guy. That's why. Yeah. But yes, Carson Young was the other guy that I would have thrown out at you.
Yeah. I didn't look at your model. Who's good? Ranks good. Kevin Roy. Who's that?
That's a great question. Hold on. Control F. Kevin Roy.
Kendall Roy.
Let's take a look here.
I don't know.
No, Troy Merritt is not Kevin Roy. Here we go. Kevin Roy looks like he has made. Let's take a look here.
2 out of the last 5 cuts.
2 out of the last 5 cuts. It looks like approach is phenomenal. Off the tee is pretty damn good. It's on the greens and around the greens where he's terrible.
Okay. Maybe flip the putter. He's 4th in your model. That's wild.
Well, I mean, here's why. No putting in my model, no around the green in my model. And he's terrible in both of those things.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, this course has big greens. You're around the greens, not gonna be too important here. And the greens are pretty flat from what I remember. So not much undulation in these greens. That's a name I could potentially look deep dive into and potentially click. I've never literally I don't even know who he is. Don't even know that name at all. And I usually know most golfers in the field. So,
well, I mean, here's all you need to know about him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, gaining on approach, allegedly 11 weeks in a row. And you look at the weeks that he's missed the cut. He missed the cut at, made it at Mexico, missed at Valero, lost 2.5 on the greens. Missed at Valspar, he lost a stroke on the greens. Between around the greens and on the greens, he lost 2 strokes. Honda, he made the cut while losing 6 strokes in and around the greens. Missed the cut at Pebble Beach. That's the only anomaly. He was basically good across the board. He just didn't score. Farmers lost on the greens. Sony lost on the greens. So it's like if the dude doesn't, do his impression of Luke List on the greens, like he's actually a pretty good golfer.
All right, we're gonna throw him in the team no putt bucket and play him this week. I like
Kevin Roy. I like it.
6,500.
Good. I like it. It's a good call.
Yeah.
I mean, there's worse guys, right? At least you've got some stats to back up the terrible decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather play at 6,500. I'd rather play him than Zach Blair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's just to the point that we were talking about. There's just not a lot to be super fired up here down in the 6Ks. Like you're that, and there's been a bunch of guys that have now withdrawn, and it's like we're getting even worse down here. Like the guys that are going into this field, it's just it's objectively terrible. The other guy, like that, I would at least throw at you, who has just made like every single cut but does absolutely nothing, is Trevor Werbylo. Werbylo. I don't know how you say his last name. Werbylo. The dude has made, I don't know, like 10, 11 cuts in a row going back to the American Express, like has not missed a cut.
Okay. Yeah, that's a name.
Yeah, sure. It's a dart. I mean, he's doing it on the greens and around the greens, which probably doesn't bode well to your point, but the dude's made 10 cuts in a row. I mean, this isn't a very difficult course. Why not make it 11?
Who is this guy? 6,600, David Micheluzzi. Who is that? I'm looking at his last 4 finishes, 21st, the 10th, the 6th, the 30th. I don't know what events these are at. I only see the numbers. Who is that?
I have no idea because he has no PGA Tour experience. So he may be like a Corn Ferry guy, maybe, that's found his way in here. Let's see. Let's see if we can pull up the Corn Ferry stats and see if that's who he is. David. I thought it was Guido for a second, and then I realized Guido's not in this field.
No, he's not. I have no idea who that guy is.
Let's
but
see.
He has good finish.
Nah, dude, I pulled this Corn Ferry stuff here, and there's nothing. It absolutely pulls nothing.
Who the hell is this guy? How did he get in the field?
I have no idea. But yeah, I have nothing on him. Now I want to look him up on the internet.
Not only is he in the field, but he's 6,600. Like he's higher priced than a lot of guys in this field.
Yeah, they're saying he's better than Tyler Werbylo, who's made 10 cuts on tour. Let's see. David, super Italian last name. Let's see he's a Euro Tour guy. That's weird. Like, there's a pretty decent Euro Tour. Like, I want to say it's like in Belgium, right? That's like where not Thomas Peters, but his brother that wears a colored glove is playing. Detry. Detry's like the guy in the Euro Tour event this week. So yeah, this guy's. Let's see here. The last time he's played was the Korea Championship presented by Genesis back in April. Played at the Ipsa Honda, finished 10th. The Fortinet Australia finished 6th. Alfred Dunhill Links 36th. So he's made like 5 or 6 cuts in a row on the Euro Tour. So he's an Australian guy. I mean, shit. I guess give him a run, right?
I mean, you can, if you're going to make 150 lineups this week, you could put him in one. I'm not really sure how he got into this event, but he's there, and DraftKings for some reason priced him at 6,600. So
yeah,
I mean, he's there. It's a name. I don't know, but maybe, you never know.
Yeah, I mean it's a stretch, but obviously you've at least. I mean, you could make an argument that the Euro Tour is obviously better than the Corn Ferry Tour, right? Or maybe they're close. And this guy's made 5 cuts in a row with 2 top 10s. I mean, that's something.
So let's see. In November of 2022, so that was only like 7-8 months ago, in the Australian PGA Championship, he finished solo 6th behind Cam Smith, Minwoo Lee, Jason Scrivener, like real golfers. Not bad. I mean, he is an Australian.
He followed up in March at the Australian Open and, finished T10. So, hey, I mean,
maybe we found a diamond in the rough. You never know.
I don't know how the hell he found his way into this field. Like, I don't know how he qualified or, what exemption he got, but he's obviously here. But he's a Euro Tour guy. So there you go.
Maybe he Monday qualified or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he might have.
To answer your question, AFC East Summit, I do sometimes. I usually, if I'm going to play 150, I'll play it in the $5. I don't ever play 150 in like the big $20 or or anything like that. But sometimes I'll play, donate $750 and hopefully try to get back half of it in that $5 event. But it's fun playing 150 lineup sometimes, especially in like majors and stuff like that. I like building that. I like building 150 lineup sometimes. It's fun.
Yeah. His follow-up question, which is like, you don't use an optimizer when you do that, right? Like you're not sitting there hand building 150 lineups.
I don't hand build 150 lineups. I use an optimizer that you just click the players you want and they just randomize and make 150 lineups for you, and you just download it and upload it into DraftKings. So pretty easy to do it. But if you ever have any questions about how to do it, or if you want to ever try it, if you ever want to, I know there's some 50-cent tournaments out there, like where you just play like $75 and build 150 lineups just to get some practice. It's not bad. So yeah, I mean, if you're ever interested, let me know. I can show you how to do it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, best way to do that's in the Discord. Join the Discord. It's down the link, and like ask like, how do you do it? Where are the tools? How do I access this? There's a bunch of tools. Fantasy National, Rick Run Good. All these sites have tools to be able to optimize your lineups. You make your selections. You say how much, what kind of percentage you want for each one of your guys, and it randomizes these picks and builds you 150 lineups, and you just mass enter them into DraftKings. It's pretty easy to do.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's end it. Let's wrap it up.
Absolutely. You got a softball game to play. Rick still commanding lead. You and Chris out there in front.
Not commanding. I am only 150,000 in front of Chris.
Yeah, I mean, the two of you guys, unless one of us wins like 2 events in one of the elevated fields, it's pretty much locked up. And again, there's still a lot. There's 3 majors left. There's 3 or 4 elevated events. So there's time, but that also means that you guys have to absolutely shit the bed in order for us to catch you, which is probably not going to happen at this point in time. Jake, outside shot, but me and Mike, like, we're done.
Yeah, you never know. If you got to hit some winners, you and Mike definitely has to hit like 3 or 4 winners. You definitely have to hit a couple winners. But yeah, it's right now, it's battle of me and Chris. Those standings are not going to change this week. Me and Chris both took KH Lee this week. Who did you take?
Hideki.
Yes, you took Hideki. Mike did not send me a pick yet. He will get me that pick hopefully before the event start. And then Jake took, let's see here. Jake took JJ Spawn. I like that pick, Jake. I like him in DraftKings. I like him as a bet this week. Very good pick. So me and Chris have KH Lee. Jake has JJ Spawn, and you have Hideki, and Mike is to be determined. So we'll see how it goes this week. We're what are we? A little halfway through the season, right? A little bit more than halfway through the season.
Yeah, this is I think event like 19 or 20 out of like 40 something. So yeah. I mean, we're basically at the halfway point. So one and dones, to your point, like the leaders are starting to build a case where it's like, even if they fall apart down the back stretch, it's going to take something magnificent to be able to catch those guys. From a one and done strategy standpoint, like if you're trying to make up ground, like everybody's got KHC left, and he's probably going to be the most popular pick this week, for rightfully so. Like people are just going to click his name in one and done. So you got to get different. I like Adam Scott. I like Hideki if you've got those guys available. Obviously, the only guy that I wouldn't play is Scotty Scheffler, even though I think he's probably, to your point, going to run away with this if he plays, league min for him. Yeah. It's just, to me, you're burning a guy that could potentially win you $4 million in one of these big events if you have him left. And this just doesn't seem like a good spot to burn a guy like that.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I play in the Pat Mayo one and done, the really big one where first place is 50,000. And I'm looking at the stats for the guy who's in first place. The guy only has 3 wins on the year. He has $18.5 million accumulated. Wow. He has 3 wins on the year. Yes, the 3 wins were Scotty at the Players, elevated event, Matt Fitzpatrick at the Heritage, and John Rahm at the Genesis. Yes, those are 3 elevated events, but it's only 3 wins. Yep. He has 9 top 5s, 12 top 20s. He's made 13 cuts. Like, it's not inconceivable if you hit a few winners down the stretch for you to jump up the leaderboard. Like if you're in one of these big one and dones to make a run at the first place prize. I mean, I'm in my best entry in that event is in 926th place. I'm $10 million behind, and I have 2 wins. I have 1 win less than him. I mean, both of my wins were not elevated events, so that's why I'm kind of far behind. But you got time to catch up. Don't think you're out of it completely yet.
Yeah. Bets for the week. I've thrown a couple in that I like, and I'm glad I did because Jordan Spieth withdrew and everybody's number crashed. But here's what I've got in so far. Tom Kim, 20-1. Hideki Matsuyama, 22-1. And Scott Staldings, 66-1. I thought I had one more here. Hold on. I do. Adam Scott 33-1. So I'll probably add a couple more bombs, but I don't think I'm going to get too crazy. I like where I'm at with those, and everybody else's numbers. I can't bet Terrell Hatton at 10-1. Like that makes me want to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, I totally agree. I unfortunately didn't get any bets in yet, but I will be betting KH Lee for sure. I'm seeing his number at like 26-1 right now. But like I said earlier, I'll put my betting card out on the Discord, so please join that, and you'll see both of our full betting cards. I will bet Taylor Gooch on the Live Tour this week. He is absolutely on fire. I have no clue what his number is, but I will make one bet on Live this week, and it will be Taylor Gooch.
Well, good for you. I won't even follow Live, and it's not because I have any political stance. It just I'm out. Yeah, good. I mean, again, make money where you want to make money. I just I don't know. I'm not interested in Live. It just doesn't move the needle for me.
There you go. All right, my man. We got PGA Championship next week. Any early leans for who you think is going to win that?
I like Victor and I like Cam Young. After last week, dude, they were so bad, both of them. Like, I don't know. I like both those guys a lot. And selfishly, I want Jordan Spieth to win, complete the Grand Slam, like get it off the slate. Like, and I can see it.
Man. It sounds like he's pretty hurt. He said he was in severe pain last week on his left wrist, and that's why he had to withdraw this week. But hopefully he heals up, and obviously it would be nice to see him win the Grand Slam. But I all of a sudden do not like him that much after what his team put out on social media today, saying he was in severe pain in his left wrist. He toughed it out, but that's why he had to withdraw this week. So we'll see how his interviews go next week. But we'll see.
Well, we'll hope we have a healthy version of him for the tournament. And you got to get out of here, man. You got a soft game to play. Best of luck of everything, and we'll be back next week for the PGA Championship.
All right, guys. See you.